one of the best-selling subcompact SUVs that Volkswagen has. They have now increased horsepower by 16, and they've done a lot of work to do that. They have put new bumpers, new lighting, new wheel design in the interior. It has also been a refresh for the dash, for the infotainment screen, off the same MQ platform as the Tiguan. We're showcasing the 2025 Volkswagen Taos SE Black in bright moss green over black Cloud Tech leatherette cloth interior. 4 trims to choose from, 10.2 inches less length than the Tiguan that's on its 3rd gen, and they no longer have a 3rd row. So does that make the Taos better than the new Tiguan? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to throw in some pros and cons while we're going over the full exterior specs. The interior specs, we're going to take this for a test drive so we could see what that 16 horsepower does to the drive, because we've also gained nearly 40 pounds over the prior. Plus, we no longer have a DCT transmission. It's only an 8-speed automatic transmission. The front has been reworked, so new bumpers, standard LED headlights and daytime runnings, and these are projected headlights that integrate into the light bar, and this will illuminate when you go into the SEL. The lower bumper is going to look a lot more aggressive. The grille is also new, and it's still opened up here on the lower with front parking sensors, and you now have an air curtain with that glossy black. And with the Taos, you're getting 6.5 inches of ground clearance for the front wheel drive configuration. That's what we're showcasing. Up to 7.6 inches for the 4Motion or all-wheel drive. Comparing that against the Tiguan, this is actually going to have better ground clearance. Now, they have increased the Tiguan for the 3rd generation. It now has 17 horsepower more, giving us 201 horsepower. It's a completely different engine. And if you put them side to side, this is 400 to 700 pounds roughly less than the Tiguan. And it has the 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged, producing 174 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. The torque is the same as the prior, paired to the 8-speed Tiptronic automatic transmission exclusively, so you don't have to worry about the DCT. The intake valves close earlier in the induction stroke to help the fuel economy for the torque engine, and this compression ratio is at 11.5 to 1. Now the MPGs is where the twist comes into play, because it's only 2 MPGs less than the Tiguan that's shared with the same MQB platform as this, and that's 10.2 inches longer, and that's only about 2 cubic feet more space in the whole interior. Plus you're losing that 3rd row, so is it better to go this route where you're going to have almost the same interior specs as that, or would it be better to go to the Tiguan where you'll have towing capability that has increased to 1,800 pounds for the all-wheel drive or the 4Motion, and it drops to 1,400 pounds for the front-wheel drive? Here, you can't configure that. With the squared-off wheel arches, this is going to help with those strong character lines that's going to flow through the body. Standard black roof rails. And I like the 2-tone here because it keeps that sport presence with a 17-inch up to a 19-inch wheel. And this achieves 28 MPGs for the city with 36 MPGs for the highway. The effort that Volkswagen has put into the Taos, I think it's a home run, because when you're considering a vehicle under 25 grand, going to Honda, you're not going to have this. It's going to have a CVT transmission. Going to Toyota, it's going to be the same take. Now, one thing that could be a con to some people is they don't offer anything like a hybrid or a PHEV. But when you're going to this small of a vehicle, I mean, you're getting great MPGs. Just suck it up. The rear has been revised with the light bar that goes all the way into the Volkswagen badging, with a new lower bumper, keeping the grille pattern, reverse parking sensors, and unfortunately, it still keeps the fake exhaust. And the only con that I can find really is when you go into the SE Black, you're over 32 grand. Now, you are basically at MSRP money for an S Tiguan. So would you go this route or would you go there? Because you get 17 horsepower more there, but this is going to be lighter, and we've also increased 16 horsepower here. Quick release going into 27.9 cubic feet of storage, which is 0.3 cubic feet more than the all-wheel drive configuration. LED interior lights, bag holders are tucked back here, and underneath the floor is what everybody talks about. You get a spare tire. Now, unfortunately, you can't split the rear bench in the back. I'm tall at 6'3", so I can. And you can do so at a 40-60 split. You also have a full pass-through. This is going to max cargo to 65.9 cubic feet, which is 5.7 cubic feet more than the 4Motion. The key fob to the Taos SE Black. 10-way power seat adjustment, heated front seats with the Cloud Tech and cloth inserts. Leather seating will be on the SEL. The SE will start the same seat as this. Manual seat adjustment on the S. 4 speakers is standard. The SE adds these 6 speakers, and that goes up the tier. And look at the updates that we get here. It's a floating 8-inch infotainment screen, and you get the cloth underneath it, more soft and premium materials, a little bit less plastic, even though you can see the glossy black here. But I kind of appreciate the layout that they're doing, especially with the rework on the Tiguan and coming into here. You have a little area here for storage. There isn't any pass-through, but you have a ton of space here. And this is only 1.6 cubic feet less than the new Tiguan. Let's fire it up. Now, when you consider that it's that much less than the Tiguan, this makes it a lot more desirable for me, at least, if I'm looking for something that's basically under 25 grand. You're gonna have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto wirelessly when you go into the SE. Sirius XM, AM, FM streaming, Bluetooth audio. You have your CarNet. Wi-Fi hotspot is still only 4G capabilities, and that is going to be through T-Mobile. Put it into reverse, you get a reverse camera. The trajectory does expand. When you click here, you have your front and rear parking sensors, and it just kind of makes it a little bit easier, and it does cover up the whole screen, so I appreciate that. The dual Climatron, that starts on the SE and works up the tier. The same thing with the wireless charging pad. All of the USB-C ports are 45 watts with a 12 volt. And I think that that's awesome, because when you're considering charging capabilities, I know because I bought some power boxes, and you want that. This is still pushback, but more soft materials than the prior. It opens up into a pretty deep storage pocket, and it kind of goes underneath about an inch or two there. The cup holders, and this is basically the same layout as before, leatherette around the shifter. Now on the Tiguan, this is going to be on the steering column, which actually makes a little bit more space here, but you really don't need a lot more space with this particular vehicle. The dashboard layout is going to be flat, very similar to the Tiguan. Auto dimming rear view mirror, we got the home link, and check this out. You got LED lighting. The SEL Black adds the moonroof. Leatherette steering wheel. You get the flat bottom, multi-function. And the gauge cluster is Volkswagen digital cockpit, which can go through an array of different content for the driver. And the leg space, as well as the headroom. I'm at 6'3", and I still have about 2 to 3 inches. The door card and dash, it configures it together nicely, and I like the way they have mixed in the harder materials with the soft materials, because it doesn't actually look like it's an eyesore like the prior. So you'll have that silver that comes here, one touch up and down for all the windows, which is not going to be the case in everybody in class, but it still does have some hard materials here to rest your arms, a long storage pocket. Taking you to the back, that's the opening that you have to fit 3 more. And if you fold this down, you get the cup holders and armrests, air vents in the center, USB-C, a little storage tray. You really can't fit anything but maybe a pack of 5 for gum. You get a storage behind both of the front seats, so they do a good job there. The door card, though, stripped of all of the soft materials, and this to me is a big con, because if you just spend a few extra thousand and go into the Tiguan, you're gonna have soft materials here, and the same thing here. Storage, though, is more than enough. The Tiguan will add some more storage here, but I appreciate that they add more for the bolstering on the seats. Sitting behind me, you have plenty of leg room, as you're noticing, and that's with me in the driver's seat. Same thing for headroom. So do you have to go to the Tiguan because now it's only a 2-row SUV? You could probably go into the Taos. Leg space sitting into the center, well, you're going to also share some feet space, because these rails, they're not pushed up enough. If you're maybe 9 on your foot, then you could fit. Butt, leg, and shoulder space is going to be shared. And even knee space, it's actually not bad. So you could possibly use the charger without bothering somebody in the center. Your knees do sit upward, sitting into the center, and headroom is actually better because of the panel moonroof. The improvements that Volkswagen has given the Taos really set it apart from the competition. I mean, the interior, it's not as upgraded as the Tiguan, But for the pricing and the money that you save, I think they did an excellent job. 16 horsepower more than last year, so we're up to 174 horsepower, the same torque at 184 pound-feet. Now we do have an 8-speed automatic transmission that's going to be on the all-wheel drive or 4Motion, as well as the front-wheel drive configuration. So you don't have to worry about having that sporty drive because you want to have the DCT. It's no longer available. And the styling for the front and the rear, I think that they have really captured that dynamic approach, because now it looks very similar to Audi badged with a Volkswagen. So I appreciate that because of the savings that I'm getting all inside. Now, one thing that we are going to check is the exterior noise. Does it come in as much? Because it's supposed to be better sound deadening. I still feel like it has a substantial amount of road noise, but when you're at a low 30 grand price and under $30,000 for the base models, it's hard to really complain about that road noise. The drive is smooth. It does feel a little bit more for power, especially when you're going off the line, so I appreciate that. All the work that they've done that we were talking about on the exterior, it really does translate to a more refined drive than the 2024 model. Clearance is also better than the Tiguan. Visibility is good. I'm not so keen on the seat settings though. I can't quite feel comfortable as a driver. I just set up a little bit too much. I can't put the butt area down enough. And the seat itself doesn't have as much cushion as the Tiguan. So if you do start escalating the price into the $30,000 margin, you may want to cross shop it with the Tiguan because it's just a little bit more comfortable of a ride for the seat setting. The actual suspension itself, it's good. You don't feel that much of the imperfections. The roads are pretty smooth here. It's going to take me to some pros and cons, which the pros, you're on the same platform as the Tiguan. You're not as long as the Tiguan, and it actually translates to that. It doesn't feel that long or wide. And when you're getting just a 2-row SUV, I mean, what do you really need that extra 10.2 inches of length whenever Volkswagen has already stated that it's less than 2 cubic feet more interior space from this model to that one? Now, obviously the power is more, but you're talking 400 to 700 pounds around less weight this is. So adding 16 more horsepower, you can feel it a little bit more so than the 17 horsepower that's added to the Tiguan. And another thing they do with the Tiguan is if you go front-wheel drive configuration, you actually lose torque. You have to go to the 4Motion to get the more torque. Turn radius at a stop point. It's gonna be about 2 lanes. Yes. Let's rock and roll. Now let's brake. That way you can see braking is good. It feels light whenever you're mashing on the gas or the brake pedal. So for an everyday blend drive, it really ticks the box. 32 grand, 600 and some change. I mean, I'm not trying to sell the vehicle, but the features that you're getting and a little bit more soft materials in the 2024. I do still feel they could have upgraded this a little bit more so, but in the same category, they have the Tiguan, which this is kind of competing with that now, and that has more soft materials going that route. But when you go this route, you get the savings and you get 2 mpgs more overall than that vehicle. But then you're not getting the towing capabilities because Volkswagen doesn't state you should tow with the Taos. I guess you could say it's a little bit better, but it's not really going to be as noticeable for the sound deadening. And then the other cons that come into play is the screen just comes out of the dash. It is a tech-forward vehicle. It's not over the top, so I am actually happy about that. You do have to go into basically the middle trim or this one in order to get most of the features that are desirable. That is kind of the con that comes into play. And when you're already near $33,000, I mean, looking at the Tiguan, you literally can go into the SE and save a little dough, and you're going to get more features that's standard. Plus, if you want to go to near 40 grand on the Tiguan, you get ventilated seats and heated rear seats, which you can't even get that as an option here. This is really the alternative to savings, you don't want a CVT that the competition gives. I would say that this is kind of a sweet spot when you're looking at price bargain if you're going to the base or to the SE trim. The SE Black, don't get me wrong, it's great, but just a few added features for value. I mean, it kind of puts me more where, unless I'm really wanting that style and I'm wanting a panel moonroof and just a couple other touches that they've given, the SE really unlocks the full potential of this vehicle. I wouldn't recommend going into the SEL because at that point, you may want to look at the Tiguan. What Volkswagen has given you with the Taos really stands above anybody in class because charging ports, they go up to 45 watts on all of them. Plus, the wireless charging pad, it has a little vent so it fills the air condition so that way your phone doesn't overheat. They literally are thinking about everything with the interior components being a little bit more soft, getting more of the desirable features standard, increasing power underneath the hood, not really going over the top adding curb weight, changing out the DCT to an 8-speed so there's no more concern about the transmission, giving room for a family in a subcompact SUV and getting better MPGs than the Tiguan, and yet you're almost the same interior specs as that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out this next video right here.